Hi guys, it's Rob here, and I'm back with another database design tutorial. And in the last tutorial we left off at attribute. So what is an attribute? Well, an attribute is each column that describes an entity. So remember, instance is a row, attribute is a column. Right, so attributes, basically each instance can have multiple attributes, right? Because these columns, the water, how much do we have? You know, how many gallons? 25 gallons of water. What's the percentage of minerals? So we have all these attributes, these distinctions, these qualities for each instance of our entities, right? So once again, to make this distinction, our entity is like our table. So our table, and really what our table is about, because a table is called a relation. But really, just to make this analogy, we have this table, and that's about an entity, right? Then we have a row, which is our instance. I'm just going to abbreviate here. And then an attribute is our column, so that's our attribute, right? So that's the breakdown between entity, instance, and attribute. Now, I just want to clear a little bit of space here. But next, what we're going to go over, which you could ponder for a moment, okay, is basically what do we need to do to make a database greater than a file processing system? Okay, because if we could just use a file processing system, why do we even need a database? And this is really a key concept here, because why are we doing all this? What's the point, okay, of us having a database, right? What's the point of that? What's the point of us even using a database? Right? If the file processing system could take care of everything a database can, well then why are we even using the database? And we're going to get to that in just a moment once I clear a little space here. Okay. Okay, so there's a few qualifications that have to be met in order for a database to be greater than a file processing system. So in order for a database to be greater than a file processing system, or more useful, it needs to eliminate redundancy, right? It needs to eliminate data redundancy by using one table for one entity, right? So we're not just we're breaking things down into separate tables for each entity. So we're eliminating the redundancy. Okay? Because if we have two tables here, right, and each contains redundant information about an entity, that's not good design. We want to break it down so where each table describes an entity, right? Each table has qualities that describe an entity. Another thing, we want to address the isolated data storage problem by establishing links between data files or tables. In other words, there's going to be some sort of link between these two tables, right? So we need links. Okay, and what do you think there's going to be? Through keys. So there's going to be through primary keys. Well, primary key, but more importantly, foreign key, and we'll get to the distinction later. So this is going to be through foreign keys, pretty much. Those are the links. Those are what link up one table to another table, right? And then we're going to address the data or structural dependence issue by designing a mechanism to enable self-contained data description. And what is this? In short, metadata, right? Self-describing data. What makes a database self-describing is metadata. And we'll get to a more in-depth explanation of metadata as we move forward. But a database, the official definition of a database, okay, and let me change colors here. The official definition, what is an actual database? Okay, a database has a couple distinct attributes. It's self-describing, okay, meaning it contains metadata, which we'll get to later. Self-describing, right? Now there's many things here. Self-describing collection of integrated tables, so remember there's links between tables, and self-describing means there are metadata that describe the data itself. Okay, so basically having these columns and these attributes, okay, for each of these entities makes it be able to describe these entities. Now, we'll get more in depth with that later on, but for now, just know metadata means that it's data that helps the table be able to describe itself. And that's about all I have time for in this tutorial, but in the next tutorial, we're going to continue breaking down the definition of a database and going over keys. Thanks, see you in the next tutorial.